Hey again, it's Anastasia. We're still in week 1 of Pinup Boot Camp, and this video we're talking about the dare that went with this week, which is getting rid of an unhealthy habit and adding in a healthy habit in our diets or exercise or whatever it is that you need to have. And it's a little more difficult than most people think. I think we all know that we should treat our temples with a great deal of respect and take care of them, and sometimes we get off track with that. And so, doing my journaling, I've been very good about that, and I've always known for a long time that I have one really unhealthy habit. I used to have 2, and I cut back on 1, and that was drinking. I used to drink every single night. And it wasn't healthy for me, and I looked positively horrible. So I've cut back on that. I only have maybe 1 or 2 drinks a week, which is really good. My other unhealthy habit that I'm having to deal with is smoking. Yes, I know. It's horrible. And I know that every time I put a cigarette in my mouth. However, I've been doing pretty well with it. And that was even before this dare came up. I've had a couple of times where it was pretty stressful and I might have had a couple or 3 more cigarettes than what I wanted to have. I do want to have 0 cigarettes in my life. But I know it's a process getting there. And I know that I have to add in some healthy things to help counteract that while I work on quitting smoking. The healthy habits that I need to add in, the biggest one is drinking more water. The average, they say, is 8 8-ounce glasses of water a day. The new guidelines tell you to take your weight and divide it in half, and that's how many ounces of water you need to drink a day. So I'm just a little bit over that 8 8-ounce glasses. So I'm doing that. Cutting out the white foods as well, although I really, probably for the last 2 years, haven't really eaten that much white food. Just because it kind of bogs my system down. I have fibromyalgia, and my system is already bogged down enough, so I don't need to throw anything else in there. So my biggest stumbling block right now is smoking. I am winning the battle, though. I had to alter my way of looking at it. It would be, I would go 2 weeks without a cigarette, and then something would happen, and I would have a cigarette or 2 cigarettes, and I would beat myself to death over it, rather than going, you know what, that was a very stressful time, and while you did fall back on an unhealthy habit to help deal with it, instead of smoking half a pack, you only had 2. And I know that's probably common sense, but for me, in my head, that was a big deal. When I realized I haven't failed life, I failed that test. And that test isn't my final grade, whatever you want to call it, at the end of this schooling called life. That's not my final grade. I had a really stressful time, and rather than taking a deep breath and going, okay, this is what I need to do, I took a deep breath and inhaled a bunch of cigarette smoke that's got a bunch of garbage in it that I don't need in my body. Beat myself up. You know you shouldn't have done that. Okay, yes, I know I shouldn't have done that. The next day I don't have a cigarette. Then the next day I don't have a cigarette. Then the next day I don't have a cigarette. And then something happens and I have a cigarette. Again, I'm not beating myself up. Case in point, yesterday I went for a run. I haven't run since 2001. A friend and I have decided that we're going to do the Nashville Color Run, which is a 5K. So I started doing a Couch to 5K program. So I didn't run real fast, and I didn't run real far, but I did it. And then when I got back to the house, I started craving Doritos. In the absolute worst way. Absolutely nothing was going to kill this craving for Doritos. A sniper couldn't have killed this craving for Doritos. So I talked with friends of mine who run, I talked to some fitness instructor friends of mine, and they all said your body's craving the carbs and the salt. get a snack bag size. It's mostly air anyway. And that's what I did. I could have beaten myself up and said, you know what, I went on this run trying to get healthy, and when I came home I ate Doritos and I'm a failure. No. I ate a small bag of Doritos. Now, tomorrow, when I go on my run, I'll know what to expect at the end of it, and then I can have a healthy complex carb. So this boot camp is all about learning yourself. This week has been learning how to deal with the cravings in my body. Did I break down and have a cigarette? Yes, I broke down and had a cigarette. One cigarette. I didn't smoke all the cigarettes I could find, just one. And that's something to be pretty proud of. You know, when you've gone from smoking a pack a day to having one, I'm not going to beat myself up over one cigarette. Because I know eventually that one cigarette will become 0 cigarettes, and all I'll be drinking is some water and the occasional martini. And I think that's a wonderful thing. I'm making progress. It may be slower than what you're doing. It may be slower than what somebody else you know is doing. But I'm making progress. And that's all that matters. As long as we make progress, we're okay. So, to sum it up, my week 1 challenge is to get rid of a bad habit and add in a good habit. I'm getting rid of smoking, and I am going to be drinking more water to accelerate getting all that crap out of my system and feeling lighter. So, hang in there with me. We're getting there. If you want to leave some comments, please do. Please go like the Pinup Boot Camp Facebook page. And I will see you next week. Bye, my loves.